My name is Henry, and I'll tell you right now, I didn't see any of this coming. The villa sat above the coast, white walls and terracotta, the kind of place that costs more than I'll make in a decade. I'd been finishing the interior trim for 3 weeks. Last day, final invoice in my truck. The heat wave had turned the whole place into something you had to push through, air thick enough to drink. I was in the master bedroom, sanding the last door frame, when the house went quiet. The kind of quiet that means you're not alone anymore.
You're here early.
You're here at all.
I live here.
You usually leave when I'm working.
Do I?
3rd week running. Coffee shop down the hill. I see your car pass.
You've been watching for my car.
I've been noticing. Different thing. She stood in the doorway, linen dress, sleeves rolled to her elbows. The heat had done something to the fabric at her collarbone, made it cling where it should have fallen loose. She didn't move to the window for air. She stayed where she was, blocking the hallway, holding a glass of water in each hand.
You look like you need this.
You brought 2.
I was thirsty.
She crossed the room. 5 steps. The distance between us closed with intention, not accident. She handed me the glass. Her fingers pressed against mine longer than gravity required. The water was cold. Her skin wasn't. Your husband around?
Away.
Business?
Something like that.
The words sat in the air, heavy, specific. She didn't elaborate. I didn't ask. The heat from outside pressed against the shutters, but the heat in the room had a different source, different weight.
Via phone, muffled through Henry's pocket, call me when the Henderson job wraps. I need you on the coastal road by Thursday.
My phone buzzed. Her eyes dropped to my pocket, then back to my face. Marcus, my boss. The man who'd fire me if he knew where my attention had been living for 3 weeks. Ignoring the phone. You don't usually bring me water.
You don't usually ask about my husband.
I'm not asking now. I'm noticing.
What else do you notice?
The dress. You haven't worn it before.
It's old.
It fits like it's new. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Something else was there. The confidence I'd watched from ladders and door frames. The ease with which she moved through rooms I was still learning. There was a crack in it. She was here on purpose. She had dressed on purpose. The question was whether she'd admit it.
The trim looks good.
You haven't looked at the trim.
I'm looking now.
No. You're looking at me looking at you.
Is that a problem?
It's the only thing in this room that's clear. She set her glass down on the windowsill. The sound of it, heavy, deliberate. She didn't step back. The space between us became a third presence, something with its own heartbeat. I could smell her perfume, something warm, not floral. Amber, maybe, something that belonged in closed rooms.
I should let you finish.
You should.
The door frame needs another hour.
At least.
I could go.
You could. Neither of us moved. The heat wave held the house in its fist. Somewhere outside, the coast did its constant work against the rocks. Inside, something else was building, something that had been building for 3 weeks of careful distance, of glances held too long, of conversations that wandered past professional edges.
The heat makes everything slow.
Not everything.
No?
Something speed up, whether you want them to or not. She turned then, finally, toward the door. For a moment I thought I'd misread. 3 weeks of watching, wrong after all. But she paused at the threshold. Looked back once. The look was enough. It carried tomorrow in it, and the day after, and every day until this finished whatever it was starting.
Thursday. Marcus said Thursday.
You heard that.
I hear most things in this house.
Then you know I'll be back tomorrow. To check the finish.
The finish looks fine.
I'm thorough.
Are you?
You could find out. She didn't answer. Just held my eyes 1 second longer than comfortable. Then moved down the hallway. Her steps unhurried, the linen dress shifting at her hips with each stride. I stood in the empty bedroom, glass of water warming in my hand, the doorframe half sanded, the whole morning rearranged around that single look back. I arrived before the sun cleared the ridge. The truck's engine ticked as it cooled. The villa's shutters were still closed, but her car sat in the drive, deliberate, waiting.
Coffee's hot.
You knew I'd come early.
I hope.
She stood in the kitchen doorway, different dress, same heat already pressing through the windows. The space between us was smaller than yesterday. She didn't offer the cup. She held it. expecting me to close the distance. You didn't sleep.
Did you?
I kept the windows open, listened for the coast.
And?
Thought about you in rooms I couldn't see. I took the coffee. Her fingers stayed on the cup 1 second longer than necessary. The kitchen was narrow. Professional distance had become a fiction we both abandoned.
Via phone, ringing from the counter. Charlotte, it's me. Call me back. We need to talk about David's flight.
The phone lit up. Charlotte's sister. The name meant nothing to me then. Everything later.
Ignoring it. The living room is cooler.
Is that why we're going there?
Do you need another reason?
I'm collecting them. She moved first. I followed. The living room held the morning shadow, blue and soft. She sat on the sofa like she'd chosen the spot in advance. I stood until she patted the cushion beside her.
You're careful.
I'm employed. You're married. There's a list.
You're on my sofa. The list is burning.
I sat. The distance between us, 12 inches. Then 6. She reached up, fingers at my collar, adjusting fabric that didn't need adjustment. Her hand didn't drop. Charlotte.
That's my name.
I'm making sure you know I'm saying it.
Say it again.
Charlotte. I asked the question with my eyes. She answered by closing the distance. The first kiss, coffee and heat, her hand still at my collar, mine finding her waist. The weeks of watching collapsed into contact. She made a sound, low, surprised by her own urgency.
Breath against my mouth. This is faster than I planned.
You planned?
I've planned for 3 weeks.
Then stop planning. The kiss built. Her lips opened. My hand moved from her waist to the curve of her back, pressing closer. She arched into it, the weeks of careful distance dissolving. The sofa shifted beneath us.
Phone ringing again. Charlotte, pick up. This is important.
Not breaking. Ignore it.
You're sure?
I've never been sure about anything in my life. Don't ask me to start now.
We moved to the floor, away from the windows. Her back against the rug, my weight half covering her. Her hands found my shirt, pulled it from my waistband. My thumb traced her hip bone through the dress fabric. She arched, hard. The sound she made different now. Deeper, claimed. Tell me to stop.
I won't.
Tell me this is nothing.
Laughing breathless. I can't even lie well.
Her hand under my shirt, palm flat against my stomach. The heat of her skin against mine. I lowered my mouth to her throat, tasted salt and perfume. She grabbed my hair, held me there, then pulled me back to her mouth.
The door.
Locked.
No. Someone could.
I know. We stopped. Not because we wanted to. Because the possibility of interruption had become part of the charge. She lay beneath me, breathing changed, dressed disordered, eyes holding mine with something that looked like recognition.
Tomorrow.
Today isn't finished.
No. But tomorrow you'll finish the door frame. And I'll find another reason to bring you coffee.
I rolled onto my back beside her. The ceiling fan turned slow, useless against the heat. Her hand found mine, fingers interlacing. The phone had stopped ringing. The silence was heavier than the touch had been.
Sophia knows something.
Your sister?
She smells trouble. She's usually right.
Is this trouble?
Turning her head to look at me, this is the only thing that's made sense in months.
We lay there until the sun cleared the ridge and the room turned gold. The pause between us, charged, unfinished, inevitable, heavier than any kiss. Late afternoon. The coast had gone quiet, the heat wave pressing the villa into stillness. Sophia's voicemail checked. David's flight delayed. The house held only us, and the pretense had finally burned away.
I checked the shutters.
All of them.
Every room. No one sees in.
She stood in the center of the living room, where we'd stopped yesterday. Different posture. No dress, linen pants, thin cotton shirt, bare feet. She'd prepared for this. The heat had made the whole place feel like a closed fist, air thick enough to touch. You planned this too.
I told you. 3 weeks.
What happens when the planning runs out?
Then we find out what we actually want.
She moved first, swayed into me in the middle of that empty room like she had been rehearsing it for days. Her hips rolled slow and deliberate against mine while she looked up, that confidence I'd watched from ladders now cracking at the edges, showing something raw beneath. You're shaking.
I'm not.
Your hands are.
Then hold them still.
I gripped her waist and pulled her closer. She arched back, rocked hard against me. The weeks of careful distance finally run out of road. Her breath came faster, matching mine. The cotton shirt clung to her spine. I could feel her ribs expand, the specific heat of her through thin fabric.
Voice low against my throat. The bedroom.
Too far.
The sofa then.
No. I held her here, in the center of the room, no furniture to hide behind. She shuddered, grabbed my shirt in both fists, pulled me down to her mouth. The kiss had teeth, urgency, 3 weeks of denial converted to pressure. Her leg hooked around mine, pressing us closer. Tell me what you want.
Everything.
Specific.
Laughing breathless. Your hands. Your mouth. The weight of you.
My hands moved with full intention. Under her shirt, palm flat against her stomach, then higher. She arched into the touch, guided my hand where she wanted it. The cotton barrier between us felt like an insult. She reached for my belt.
David calls this room his office.
He's not here.
No. He never is.
The phone on the counter lit up. The vibration against marble filled the silence. A name, 3 letters, glowing. She didn't look. Her eyes stayed on mine, her hand still at my belt, her body still pressed hard against me. I saw it anyway. David, you should answer.
I should do a lot of things.
This isn't one of them.
This is the only one that matters.
The phone stopped. The silence that followed had weight, texture, the specific gravity of a choice made. She didn't move away. I didn't release her waist. The heat between our bodies had become indistinguishable from the heat outside. Who is he to you?
Habit. Expectation. 15 years of rooms like this one empty.
And I'm what?
Pulling me closer, mouth at my ear, present.
She rocked again, deliberate, the friction making us both breathe differently. My hand at her back, pressing her closer, eliminating space. We were moving towards something neither of us would stop. The room, the heat, the afternoon, all of it narrowing to this contact, this pressure, this inevitable trajectory.
Henry.
I'm here.
I know. That's the problem.
She said it laughing, but her eyes were serious. The phone stayed dark on the counter. The villa held its breath around us. We stood in the center of that empty room, bodies pressed, the moment before the peak suspended in full sensory detail, her heartbeat against my chest, the specific scent of her at close range, the heat that crossed the distance before any touch happened. The phone stopped. The silence that followed was not empty. It was full, charged, a choice already made and acknowledged. She turned it face down on the counter. The click of glass against marble marked the moment.
Where were we?
You were about to show me what 15 years of empty rooms feels like.
No, pulling me back to center. You were about to show me what present feels like.
I lifted her onto the counter. The marble was cool against her spine, a contrast that made her gasp. My hands moved with full intention, her shirt lifted over her head, discarded, the linen pants following. She helped, urgent, unembarrassed. The afternoon light fell across her skin, 42 years of living, graceful, unapologetic. Look at me.
I can't stop.
I undressed where she could watch. Her eyes tracked every movement, shoulders, chest, the moment I kicked free of the last barrier. She reached for me, pulled me between her legs, eliminated the final distance. The heat of her against my stomach, the specific temperature of wanting.
Now. Henry. Now.
I'm here.
Prove it.
I entered her on the counter where her husband took calls. The sound she made, low, from the throat, broken, filled the room. She wrapped her legs around my waist, heels pressing into my lower back, pulling me deeper. The rhythm found us immediately. No hesitation, no performance, just 2 people completely present with each other. Breath against her neck, this?
Don't talk. Just don't.
Her nails at my shoulders, pressure that would mark. I gripped her hips, lifted her slightly, changed the angle. She cried out, arched hard, the counter edge pressing into my palms. The heat wave outside had nothing on the heat between us. We moved like the weeks of watching had been foreplay, like this was the only honest conversation we'd ever needed.
Gasping, harder.
Tell me when.
Now. Now. Now.
The peak built, visible, shared. Her eyes held mine, open, witnessing. I felt her tighten around me, the specific pulse of her release, and followed, buried deep, the weeks of careful distance collapsing into this single moment of complete delivery. We made sounds that were not words. The room held them.
After breathing, David has never.
Don't.
I need you to know.
I know. I can feel what he never touched. The stillness after was complete. Bodies cooling against each other, sweat drying in the thick air. I lifted her from the counter, carried her to the sofa where we'd stopped yesterday. She weighed exactly what she should. We lay tangled, limbs arranged without discussion, her head on my chest, my hand in her hair.
What time is it?
Late enough.
He lands at 9.
Then we have hours.
Do we do this again? In hours?
We do this until you tell me to stop.
I told you. I won't.
She said my name differently than before. Not Henry the contractor. Henry the man who had finally reached her. I didn't answer. Just held her until the heat shifted from desire to something else, something that felt like recognition.
You sanded the doorframe wrong.
What?
Yesterday. In the bedroom. You missed the bottom corner.
Laughing, you noticed.
I notice everything you do. That's the problem.
The room settled around us. What just happened, settling into both of us, changing the weight of our bodies in space. She traced my collarbone with her finger, idle, intimate. The phone stayed dark. The villa held its breath. Charlotte.
Yes?
This isn't finished.
No. It's finally starting.
Evening. The bedroom this time, deliberate, chosen, the door actually closed. Showered, changed, but the heat still present in our skin. We had done this once. Now we knew each other's bodies.
The painting. Above the bed. You asked yesterday.
You didn't answer.
I bought it in Lisbon. Before David. Before any of this.
Why this room?
Because he never slept here. Guest room, technically. His room is down the hall.
She had led me through her house with intention, past the living room, past the counter, up the stairs to this door. I followed, but not passively. Asked about the painting, learned its origin. She answered, but her hand was already at my belt. Slow this time.
You think I can?
I'll make you. The second encounter. Slower, more deliberate, more knowing. Familiarity made it hit harder, her hip bone under my thumb, the specific way she arched when I touched her there. We moved to the bed without urgency, as if we had all the time that remained.
During breath against my ear, he called. While you were in the shower.
What did you say?
That I was busy.
Busy.
I didn't lie.
Intimacy continued with full knowledge. More confident. More intentional. Every movement meant something different. Her leg wrapped around mine with purpose, my mouth at her throat finding the exact spot that made her pause. Raw, honest conversation during. What happens when he comes back?
He'll sleep down the hall. I'll sleep here. Alone.
And us?
Pulling me closer. You're the only one who touches me. That's not nothing.
I moved deeper, slower, watching her face. The way her eyes closed, then opened, held mine. The specific quality of restraint breaking. This time with knowledge, with memory of what worked, what she needed.
Henry. Wait.
Here?
Just stay there. Don't move.
I held still, buried inside her, the pulse of it visible in her throat. She breathed through something, eyes wet, not from pain.
I didn't expect to feel this.
What?
Seen. You look at me like you're memorizing.
I am.
Why?
Because you're leaving marks. I want to remember where. She laughed, then moved, taking control of the rhythm, her hands pressing into my chest. The shift in power, the familiarity making it sharper. We finished tangled, her crying out first, me following, the sound swallowed by her mouth on mine.
After, Sophia knows.
She called twice yesterday.
She smells trouble.
Are we trouble?
We're the only thing that's made sense in months.
The same words. The second time, they landed differently. She turned on her side, facing me, the sheet tangled at our waists. Her finger traced the marks she'd left on my shoulder.
I don't want you to leave.
I wasn't going to.
I mean ever. Not tonight. Not.
Charlotte.
Don't. Don't make it reasonable.
I'm not. I'm making it real. I caught her hand, held it against my chest where my heart was still slowing. The room was dark now, the painting above us invisible. The heat between us unchanged by the hour. I'm 26. You're this house, this life.
42. Say it.
42. With a husband. This is not simple.
Nothing worth having is.
Then what do we do?
Quiet, final. We take the hours we have. We don't waste them talking about the ones we don't.
Morning. Different energy, real life returning. We dressed in silence. The intimacy of the night before becoming memory, even as our bodies still held it. I mentioned my final invoice. She mentioned David's early flight. The complication arrived without warning.
Knocking, then entering without waiting. Charlotte? I saw the truck. Again.
Sophia. You have a key.
I have concern. There's a difference.
Charlotte's sister stood in the bedroom doorway, 40 years old, protective, seeing everything. My shirt untucked, Charlotte's hair, the bed we hadn't made. Her eyes found me, dismissed me, settled on her sister with weight.
David lands in 2 hours.
I know his schedule.
Do you know how this looks?
How it looks.
Gesturing at me, at the room, this. Him. The contractor half your age who keeps finishing jobs that should be done.
I'm standing here.
I know. That's the problem.
Then talk to me, not around me. Sophia turned. Assessed. The confrontation she'd prepared for Charlotte shifted to include me. I didn't step back.
You understand she's married.
I understand she's lonely.
You understand nothing. 15 years. A life. You sand doors and think that qualifies you to.
Sophia. Stop.
He'll tell David. You know he will. Or I will.
Then tell him.
Pause. What?
Tell him. Call him now. Explain that his wife found someone who actually sees her. Who stays in rooms.
Charlotte.
No. You've played the concerned sister. Now play the honest one. Look at me and tell me I should go back to empty rooms and business trips and a man who hasn't touched me in 2 years.
The silence held 3 women, 1 man, a marriage dissolving in real time. Sophia's certainty cracked. She looked at me differently, not dismissal now, but assessment.
To me, what do you want?
Her. Not the house. Not the story you think this is.
You're 26.
I'm present. That's more than her husband's managed.
To Charlotte, this destroys everything.
Everything was already ash. He just brought matches I wasn't afraid to use.
Sophia moved to the window, turned her back, the gesture of someone who needed not to witness. The charged tension had returned. Desire didn't disappear. It became urgent because something was now at risk.
I won't tell him. Not yet. But I won't lie for you either.
I don't need you to.
Then what do you need?
Quiet, for someone to finally choose my side.
Sophia left without closing the door. Her footsteps down the stairs, the front door opening, the silence that followed, all of it marking the moment. Charlotte sat on the bed we'd shared. I stood by the window where her sister had stood. What do we do?
He lands in 2 hours.
I heard.
The house is his. The life is his. The story we've told ourselves, that's his too.
Not this room. Not last night.
No. But daylight changes things.
She looked at me, and for the first time since I'd arrived, I saw uncertainty. The connection was established and real, which meant the threat to it cut deeper. I'll finish the door frame.
It's already finished.
Then I'll start something else. Or I'll leave. You choose. Late afternoon. David's flight had landed. The villa held its breath. We met in the hallway, the bedroom behind me, the front door before her, the whole house arranged around our choice.
He's at the hotel. 1 night. Then home.
To this house.
To his house. His room. His life that doesn't include me anymore.
And us.
We have until morning. Or we have nothing. You choose.
I choose you. I choose this. But I won't be a secret you hide in guest rooms. Full resolution. Honest, earned. She stepped closer, close enough that I could smell her perfume. Amber, warm, the same as the first day. The heat between us unchanged by the threat outside.
Then we end this properly. Not with Sophia catching us. Not with you sanding doors while I pretend.
How?
Taking my hand, we finish what we started. In daylight. Where anyone could see.
She led me to the living room. The same room where she'd moved first, where the phone had lit up, where everything had begun. The afternoon sun fell through the shutters, striping the floor. She turned to face me, deliberate, unhurried.
Touch me like it's the first time.
It isn't.
Then touch me like it's the last.
Final physical moment. A statement, not just an act. I lifted her onto the counter where we'd stopped. The same marble, the same heat, everything different now. Her hands at my shoulders, mine at her waist. The rhythm familiar, but weighted with ending.
During mouth at my ear, I won't apologize for this.
I won't let you.
Sophia will say I destroyed everything.
You built something. In rooms he left empty. We moved together, slower than before, each touch memorized. The peak built, shared, visible. She cried out. I followed, the sound swallowed by the afternoon. The stillness after held everything. Two people, the room, what we'd made settling into both of us.
After dressing, I told him. On the phone. Before he landed.
Told him what?
That I was leaving. That there was someone. That I finally knew what I wanted.
And?
Silence. Then, take what you need from the house.
She laughed, but her eyes were wet. The resolution was real, but not simple. She handed me the final check, my invoice, paid, our fingers touching one last time with intention.
The work is finished.
No, it isn't. I took it. The paper between us, the last professional pretense. She walked me to the door. The villa spread behind her, 15 years of her life in its rooms.
I'll stay with Sophia. Until I find.
Until you find yourself. Not until. Just find yourself.
Quiet, you could wait. You could not wait. I wouldn't blame you.
I know where you are now. That's enough. The door opened. The heat wave pressed against us. Unchanged, indifferent. She stood in the frame, the same doorway where she'd paused 3 weeks ago, looked back once, made tomorrow inevitable. Charlotte.
Yes?
I noticed you first. Not the car. Not the house. You. In a doorway, holding water, pretending you weren't looking.
I was looking.
I know. That's why I stayed. Single image to carry. Her standing in the empty room. The heat wave still pressing against the windows. The future uncertain, but the connection real. The door closed between us. Not ending. Pausing. The work. Her. Me. What we'd built in closed rooms. Unfinished. Ongoing. Present.
Through the closed door, voice muffled, Henry.
Paused. Hand on the frame. I'm here.
I know. That's why you'll come back.
I walked to my truck. The coast did its constant work against the rocks. The villa stood white against the heat. Windows open now. Someone inside finally breathing. Together, but uncertain, they admitted feelings, left the future open, the listener carrying the possibility.